Hello, I'm Lee Davis. I wanted to make a video review for my friend, the great artist illustrator Martin Trafford, in his latest work, the recently released comic book continuation of the very edgy German, over-the-top cult horror film series Nekromantik. And this is tricky because I can assume that those of you watching this video are probably already familiar with this film series, but if you are not yet familiar with this film series, all I can say is if you can't handle very over-the-top, edgy, splattery, quote-unquote WTF kind of horror, then I don't think that you should become familiar with these films. I'm not going to go deep into the history of the film series before I get to the point, which is the comic. But I think it's worth going back for me as a long time big fan, big admirer of Jorg Buttgereit and his films that he and his artistic friends created back when. I think. At the time when I discovered these films, I think I had read about these, in Fangoria and what have you, and went into these films, discovered them and watched them expecting something, just a splatter fest, just a gross out fest, But what we all got, and I think a lot of people felt the same way as I did, was we were kind of surprised that it was that for sure, but I mean at the same time. You could not deny the artistic edge that these young filmmakers, Jorg and his friends, brought to the project, and which made them such, I would say, timeless conversation pieces. To this day, I think they're a lot to talk about because they were really trashy, really disgusting. John Waters endorsed them, if that's any indication. But at the same time, you couldn't deny the heart and the artistic eye brought to these. So, and at the same time, another thing is speaking for myself, I could recognize in the film, I could see that I got the humor. I could recognize. These were young filmmakers. I understood the punk rock in your face attitude going on here. We could go deep into whatever kind of repression might have been going on in Berlin at that time. I'm no authority on any of that, but read about it if you're interested in film history and whatnot. But it's really kind of fascinating, and I think a collective desire to just go crazy. They were all geeks. They loved edgy film themselves and wanted to make their own, and they totally went off the edge. So yeah, I would dare say Jorg and his friends are good people, good gentlemen, just like myself, fairly liberal when it comes to art. So anyway, moving along, I know Martin Trafford's a really nice guy. Likewise, just a big geek like me, touched a nerve with him. Is a film geek, he got it, obviously, and connected his artwork to this series. And finally, after all this time, a comic continuation comes out. Now, like myself and a lot of other fans, I think we've all over the years. I think it's been kind of too bad that we haven't seen more from Jorg, but as we understand that when there's not a whole lot of money in independent filmmaking, you do what you do out of passion for so long, and after to get it out of your system. And if it's not really paying the bills, then you need to work out how much time you can give to this. And I think which is too bad for the fans, if you want something and it doesn't happen. But I think comics are a tremendous way to carry on a story, a series. If there's not the money for the films, then there's the comics. So anyway, so we finally come after all this time to where it goes after the conclusion of Nekromantik 2, which was a shocker. And yeah. So we might have assumed where this was going to go. Is this a spoiler alert? Maybe. for the film, not the comic. There might be some spoilers for the films, but once again, I'm assuming most of you have already seen this. And again, maybe you shouldn't if what I'm describing sounds too much. Yes, at the end, picking up from the end of Necromantic 2, the maniac we discover is going to become a mother. So this is years later, and what kind of kid is going to grow up from, Monica? it's probably safe to assume, probably someone a lot like Norman Bates, probably, right? But I don't know because, well, I mean, I do know, but I'm not saying because anyway. Yeah, because I really don't want to give anything away about the comic. So what can I say about it? I can say I love Martin Trafford's illustrations. They're just perfect for this. They have the underground, gritty feel. That brings us back to that era, before very polished off stuff. This has that dirty underground feel in his illustrations. Nothing about this is glossy. It feels like Tales from the Crypt. It just feels like good old school splattery horror, lowbrow for sure. Interesting. The story is interesting. I feel that I can tell you all here. There are faces from the films that pop back up. It reconnects with a lot of elements from the films, which I don't think is necessary to make a comic work. But I think to revitalize the films and bring them into modern times, really makes these older films feel like they're still very much alive. So we've updated, we've brought it into the present. And the illustrations, once again, are just really great. The feel is fantastic. I mean, it looks like that grain. I mean, it doesn't look like that grainy old film stock, but it feels like it. I think these illustrations really are a match for those films. And surprises. While you might expect some things, and maybe you're right about some things, you might be surprised where the story goes. I would not at all call this comic predictable. I think it's a very interesting and very, very unique and very proper continuation of the series. I think for those of you not yet familiar with Trafford's great illustrations, this is a fantastic way to discover his work, and we'll look forward to what else he has to offer us. And I've gone on for over 8 minutes. I hope I haven't rambled too much. I wanted to cover all the angles, and once again, it's kind of tricky with this. What else might I say about this? I don't know if this is your cup of tea, if you can handle horror like this. I mean, which obviously, I mean, it's always been tricky for me because I can, but a lot of the people I grew up around couldn't. So I was kind of a loner in that respect. But yeah. Anyway, cheers to Martin and Jorg and all their artistic colleagues and what they do. I guess I can say I never feel like this is going too far to the bottom. I mean, this stuff is trashy, it's lowbrow, it's gross. I mean, it's not for everybody, but I think I respect what they're doing. I sort of respect what they're doing for cult horror and for art. I don't think it's I think I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's good stuff, but not for everybody. Hope I made my point. Boy, yeah, I'm really rambling here. Okay, yeah, check the comic out. And that's all. Okay, bye-bye. Y'all have a great day.
Is he dead?
No, not yet.
I gotta go talk to him. He can help me with my comics.
Nobody cares about your stupid comics.
This is the only light we'll see for a while. Did you see how much blood they've been feeding the door?
Makes rich white kids from the suburbs think they're gangsters from the projects.
No. Hey, Gerald. Wake up.
Leave me alone. Punk, I wasn't doing nothing. I was just standing there.
Snap out of it.
I killed him. But, not quickly. I think I took hours to do it. I tortured him to death.
If you want chocolate, man, come to Julie's. You gay guys for being gay.
What the heck does that mean?
I think it means we're gay.
Said I didn't have what it takes to play football. It's because I do meth, eat brains, all those gay jerks, gay and stuff.
1, 2, 3, 4.
How's it going?
Linda?
You have killed for me, brought me sustenance so that I have grown strong.
What's the matter, Lincoln? Don't you like ice cream? Maybe he prefers chocolate.
Always bet on black.